will start streaming to my channel.
Apologies, I'm so sorry.
That's
I
fine.
thought because I was streaming the Mark Ruffalo thing, so I was like, oh, let me just jump into this real quick. Apologies. No one's seen any of the any. I'm
That's
so
fine.
sorry.
I
I should have
haven't
made
said
that clear.
anything inappropriate or
Mm-mm.
anything like that so far, so that's good. All right. Well, since we're getting started here, I will go ahead and introduce myself. Of course, everyone knows me as Leftist Blondie online. I my real name is Anne. I do political content, philosophy, psychology, sociology, stuff like that. I focus on a few different topics. With like feminism, abortion, leftism, things like that. And today I have here with me Miss Charlie, who was recently on the Whatever podcast, which I've also been on. I linked the video here below, so you guys can go check out that if you'd like. Her Twitch is also in the description. She debated Andrew Wilson, and if I'm not mistaken, the topic was feminism is good for society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will go ahead and give you the opportunity to introduce yourself first, and then we can talk about you, the debate, and everything in between.
Awesome, and thank you so much for reaching out to interview me. I'm excited. Um, well, hello. I am Charlie, Enemy Charlie. I am primarily a Twitch streamer. Typically, the subjects that I cover are like we talk a bit about politics, like salient cultural topics, academia, because as I probably say too much, I do have a Master of Letters in Fantasy Literature, of which I'm very proud of. It's my pride and joy. It's the best thing about me. I also do a little bit of work in film, um, specific, usually like post production stuff, but a little bit of like ADing. Uh, and I also just got my first accepted paper, scholarly article paper accepted. Approximately 100 people will probably read it in my lifetime, but I'm very proud to finally be a published scholar. So thank you for having me.
That is actually crazy. That's amazing. What was the paper on, if you don't
Thank
mind me
you.
asking?
So it's on transmasculine temporality in J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. So it's focusing on Eowyn and essentially acknowledging that transness, the term trans is very anachronistic, but essentially exploring like the historical precedent of like third gender stuff in medieval societies and I guess making connections um, with the character Eowyn. Uh, Not to say that, oh, Eowyn is trans, but to, I guess, just reading her through that lens um, in a way that I don't know. I mean, Tolkien is very often co-opted by like the most evil people possible. So if I can wokeify Tolkien and irritate people, I will do it at all costs. It's actually the article was half of my dissertation that I just turned into a scholarly article. Um, so yeah, that's what that is.
That is awesome. I do recall when they mentioned your degree at the beginning of the video, I was like, what the hell? I was like, that's like the coolest thing. Like, it's the type of thing that you'll see conservatives meme online where they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, woke, like liberal ideology and academia.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the type of degree you'll end up working at Starbucks with. But I was like, conservatives will take anything as long as it's left wing and it like the is the most based thing ever, and they're like, oh, how lame, lols. So when they mentioned that,
Right.
I was just like, that's insane, and also like the coolest thing ever. And I'm not even into like Lord of the Rings, I'm not into the
Mm-hmm.
fantasy literature, but I was still like, that's something I can look at and go like, oh, I can appreciate that. But that is super cool. Definitely congratulations. Also, congratulations on getting a degree. That is like always an
Thank you.
accomplishment. But we'll start with the questions about the podcast that I have.
Mhm.
Because as far as I was aware, at least, I had never seen you in the politics per se sphere so much.
Mhm.
And it seems like from what you said actually recently that it kind of blew up your channel was being on the Whatever podcast. Does
Mhm.
that kind of put you more into the political space, or were you kind of already streaming that type of content beforehand?
I mean, I was so I had I'd been doing some debates, mostly not necessarily for content. Um, I actually wouldn't stream a good chunk of them, but just because recreational arguing is a lot of fun for me. Uh, and so while politics was something that I discussed on my channel, and a lot of what I do, I end up getting, one guide, and arguing with people in my chat about specific issues. So kind of already what I was doing, but podcast debate appearances, no, that's fairly new for me, on that kind of platform.
And how did you get in contact with the Whatever podcast? Because I've noticed they do a little bit of scouting. I'm not sure if people actually reach out to them to have
Mhm.
formal debates with people on there, but I've seen specific examples where, like, I happened to be on TikTok. I think I was having some debate, or someone invited me and said, "Hey, Andrew Wilson's on TikTok right now." And I was like, "Oh, okay, what are they talking about?" And it was, I think the topic was sex work or something like that.
Mhm.
And obviously, he's arguing his traditional worldview: sex work is immoral and it's disgusting, and
Mhm.
OnlyFans women are whores and sluts and blah blah blah. I don't know if I can say that on Twitch, by the way. Sorry, I don't know
You
the rules
can.
of
You
Twitch.
can say pretty much as long as it's not threats of violence, you're good.
Okay, perfect. All right, but yeah. So he was giving the whole spiel, and we kind of very harshly went back and forth at each other over TikTok. And I think Brian Wilson, or not Brian Wilson, what's his name? Brian Atlas, the host of the Whatever
Atlas, yeah.
podcast, said, "Hey, you know what? Andrew's gone, but I want to have you on to debate him in person." And we kind of went from there. Is that kind of how your
Mhm.
interaction went? Like, did you meet Andrew somewhere or something like that?
Yeah, so I'd actually debated with Andrew twice before this on uh the Raging Tomatoes platform, which she's like a YouTuber who she's very much conservative leaning herself, but she'll have people on to debate. And I had debated him twice before, and then Brian reached out to me and asked if I wanted to debate Wilson live on the podcast because of that.
Okay, so that's interesting. I've actually never heard of that platform. You said, what was it called?
The Raging Tomato,
Raging Tomato. Is that like a
yeah, it's
common debate
smaller.
platform? Okay, because I was like, that
Yeah,
is not something I'm familiar with. I don't watch a lot of Andrew Wilson, to be fair. I try to not watch a lot of Andrew Wilson.
yeah,
Um,
super fair.
yeah, okay, so that's interesting. Was it initially just kind of he saw a debate about feminism that you had had with him? Was it like a predetermined topic, or was it something you kind of just like went back and forth and scheduled and figured that out?
So the first two, do you mean the whatever debate or the first two debates that I did?
The Whatever debate.
So the whatever debate, it was the topic wasn't decided until the last moment, kind of. It was like literally like I don't even know if it was like a week before even. But I was like, yeah, I guess feminism is a topic I'm the most comfortable with, so I'll stick with that. Um, and that was that. I actually at the time I didn't have any time to do research because I was working on a crochet project, um that like for money that I had to finish like ASAP. So I was like pulling like all-nighters and stuff, and I was like, whatever, man. Whatever happens during this debate, I don't care. Who cares? Um
That's that's actually totally valid, honestly. And I kind of was in the same situation too. I'm very much a procrastinator, so I kind of put
mhm.
myself in the
Did
same
you end up
situation.
did you go on the podcast and debate him?
Yes, I've since been barred from coming back. It was,
Wait, what happened? What?
it was a pretty cordial debate, IRL. And
Hmm.
afterwards, Andrew on stream said, "Hey, I I'd be fine with you coming back to debate something like veganism. I'm a vegan, or
Hmm.
abortion or something like that." We had a discussion that was almost the exact same prompt as yours, which was the is feminism good for society or something like that. And when we left the studio, everything was hunky dory. We had actually planned for me to come back, and I guess Brian had reached out to me and said, "Hey, Andrew just has some concerns about you coming back. here's what he said to me, and sent me a very long essay about how I didn't hold any real views or didn't hold any real positions, which was not what he indicated when I was there face to face. So I said that he was running in a Discord server, very rightfully so, in my opinion. And he's not pleased with that. He called me some choice words.
Wow. But I mean, he was kind of running, wasn't he?
I was like, well, I would assume the thing not to do when someone says, hey, you're running from me, to prove that wrong, you would think, like, oh, no, I'm not running. Let me prove them wrong by actually, like, facing up to the debate. And
Right,
yeah,
like
I
doing
guess.
the damn debate. Jeez, I'm
Oh.
I'm sorry. That is so I've heard that he'll avoid debating people that kind of get one over on him in any capacity. Um, he so for me, he ran out to the balcony and didn't come out while I was talking to Brian and his assistant Mary. And then I was like, God, he seemed really upset. Should I go apologize to him? And Brian was like, maybe. And I was like, they were like, yeah, you should apologize. And so I went out to the balcony and I was like, hey. And then he was looking at his phone and then he just didn't look at me. And then he just moved out back into the room. And then he was like, without looking at me again, he didn't look at me the whole time. He was like, I try not to be alone with women. And I was like, okay, well, I just wanted to shake your hand and say goodbye. And he just waved his hand and shook his head. Like, dude, like, it was
It's
crazy.
so
I,
awkward.
I could not, it was extremely awkward. Um, like, I was like, all right. But Brian, asked me to come back, this Sunday to debate his wife, Rachel Wilson. To which I said no, uh, because I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think there was an interesting thing that happened immediately after the debate in the comments section that I noticed,
Mm-hmm.
and also on Twitter, where
Mm-hmm.
people were saying like, "Oh, that's so disrespectful. How dare she talk bad about his wife?" And if anyone who's watching this, which I'm assuming won't be a lot of people because my YouTube channel is very small, doesn't hasn't seen the clip. Essentially, the conversation that went viral, the piece of the conversation that went viral, was Andrew talking to you, and your response to him was in regards to his um, holding of traditional values, but not actually displaying those traditional values in his life. And the
Mm-hmm.
way that he talks to women is very, very degrading. And, you know, he calls women who have slept with multiple men whores and used and
Mm-hmm.
garbage and, you know, not worthy of anything or whatever. When, as you pointed out, his wife has two, I believe, two baby daddies. I think you said three. It might be two or three. I
It
have
does.
not fact checked
So
that.
I did clarify like what from the Wilsons themselves. Like, oh, sorry, I did not mean to kick something under my desk.
You're fine.
Um, so she had two children with a boyfriend. Um, first when she was like 20, and then sometime later in her early 20s. Then she married a man for a year and I believe had one kid with him. That child later passed away. And then she went on to have two children with Andrew Wilson. So she does have three baby daddies. Um, and people gave me a lot of flack for, and they were like, hey, if it's a husband, that child wasn't, that's not a baby daddy. And I'm like, well, a baby daddy is just the daddy of a baby. It's a baby's daddy. It's, you know, your
Yeah,
dad
that's
is,
a.
it's like just, that's what the word means.
Yeah, you didn't say husband. You didn't say she had other husbands. She had other boyfriends. You specifically, I mean, baby dad is very specific. I don't. Any confusion of that
Yeah.
is either just ignorance or like being a pedant, which I don't care or respect.
Yeah.
Um, but it seemed like what happened following that comment and that interaction where he immediately like exploded at you, which was like insane. I think probably the worst I've ever seen him crash out, like ever, which is saying
Yeah.
something because it's Andrew Wilson. But I noticed a lot of people saying, like, how dare she talk shit? And his response was, how dare you talk shit about my wife? Which is interesting
Hmm.
because at least to me, and I think to a lot of people like me, the comment didn't seem to come across as talking badly about his wife, but more so pointing out the hypocrisy between those that the traditional ideology and, you know, um, implying that anyone who doesn't follow this worldview is like a piece of shit, garbage, trash, human being, whore, slut, whatever, whatever
Mhm.
prerogative, um, or derogatory comment or whatever. Um, what was first of all, what was going through your head when he reacted that way in the studio? And I actually haven't seen the clip of him completely walk out. Is it on clip of him actually walking out to the balcony?
So it was after the stream ended. Like I tried to like the last thing he said to me was I was trying to be like, I almost wanted to apologize when we talked about Tolkien, but then blah blah blah, you were wrong. I was gonna say, but then you were wrong about Aragorn, so like something kind of funny. And then he just like said, "Shut up, bitch," and then it ended, and then he didn't say anything and just left. So the stream had ended when he walked off. Um, but when he blew up, I mean, I did not expect that reaction like at all. Like that was just so so shocking to me. Like I was like because I had seen people be pretty mean about his wife to him, and I'd never seen him react so viciously. Um and I guess I kind of just went into a state where it could be called like I guess maybe like a dissociative state, but more or less like as not to be dramatic and trauma dump, but I, as a kid, had to learn how to stay calm and not be emotional when emotionally unstable adults around me were freaking out, especially adults on substances, which he was drinking throughout the whole interview, drinking heavily. Um, and so I just kind of went into that space where I'm like, don't provoke, don't speak, like, like it was weird. It was deeply strange. Uh, but like you said, like the thing is about his wife is that you're correct in saying I was not attempting to insult her. What I was trying to do was point out, you know, because he had said, "I'll prove to you why your life would be better without feminism if you do the same for me." And I said, "Okay." And so I was going to say, without feminism, it would have been much harder for you to get with your wife, who has, a living ex-husband. No fault divorce was advocated for, not just by feminists, but really by feminists. Increased access to child support, which she did receive child support. The expansion of the Violence Against Women Act, which did apply to her second marriage, which I didn't know before that conversation. Uh, but also, his wife is a political commentator herself, and they do talk about their marriage and kind of uphold their marriage as an ideal that everyone else should strive to have. She was also in the chat the entire night, sending super chats saying insulting things to me. The entire night that I could see on the screen long before I brought her up. So she was there antagonizing the fuck out of me. Like it was not like an innocent, stay-at-home mom that I was bullying. It was like again a political commentator herself irritating me, antagonizing me in the chat. And I wasn't even being mean. I just spoke a fact.
Yeah, that was like the big thing for me was I was like, this is not an insult, and you can tell. And I noticed this problem with right wingers generally, specifically, so maybe Andrew Wilson and his wife a lot, where
Mm-hmm.
anything that is they they seem to not understand that when a person says something, they're coming at it from their viewpoint. So
Mm-hmm.
if another right winger, take I don't know, Steven Crowder, or which I guess he has no room to
Mm-hmm.
talk either. But take,
Yeah.
ex other right winger who finds divorce to be immoral, or finds sleeping around with other men to be immoral, or finds, anything other than the traditional marriage and lifestyle to be immoral. If one of
Mm-hmm.
them had said that to Andrew, you could almost bet money that that would be an insult. And the reason why that would be an insult is because he knows that that person finds that to be a bad thing. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like you know, if it, and it was the same exact thing actually applied in the comment that he made to you immediately after the licking sniz. I cannot get that
Sniz.
phrase out of my. It sounds so disgusting. There's something about the way that he said it, but it's almost like he has a hard time putting
Mhm.
himself in the shoes of another person and realizing like when you're saying that it's not an insult. Yes, it would be an insult if it was a right winger, but in this case, to you, you seem at least progressive leaning, and that's not a
Yes, very
bad
much
thing to
so.
you. Yeah, hypocrisy,
Yeah,
however, is a bad thing to you, and supposedly to
right.
Andrew Wilson. So like that's the real issue there. But I did notice that thing as well that happened where it was kind of like the insult that he threw at you immediately after was like, oh well, you lick sniz, which is like, I mean, if you just rephrase it, it's just like you're a lesbian, whatever your opinion doesn't matter. Which
You
I
eat coochie,
like.
which is
Okay.
like, well, to be fair, I am bisexual, not lesbian. I
Yes.
don't think
Yeah.
he got that because I
Yeah.
previously just brought up an ex-girlfriend that worked in trade because he was saying women aren't capable of doing trade, and I was like, I know one. It's my
Yeah.
ex-girlfriend. And I guess he just had latched onto that the whole night because that was just the first thing out of his mouth. But I mean, it's part of the description of being, you would hope that it's part of the description of being attracted to women is you're going to eat some sniz. It I mean, I guess I don't know why he thought that would hurt my feelings. Like,
Yeah.
okay, thank you for the free advertising, I guess, ladies.
And it does the interesting thing, like I said, in that insult, it
Mhm.
almost to me implies that he doesn't realize that you also don't see that as an insult because it's not an insult
Yeah.
to you. Like eating women out is not an insult. Licking snakes is not an insult to you because that's not a bad
Hmm.
thing. So to him, like he's like, "Oh yeah, well you do this bad thing." And you're like, "Okay, well I actually don't think bad thing is bad thing." And he's
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah, but you do it." And it's like, "Okay."
Okay, I don't care. Like that's not a problem to me. Like say what you will. He did the same thing later when they were like, "How many men have you had sex with?" And I was like, "I think probably under 10."
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't really count my sexual partners to be honest. And he was like, "Yeah, my wife has only had sex with 3 men that she was in long-term relationships with, and you said 10?" And I was like, "Okay." Like, you think I'm ashamed of that? Like, that's not, I'm not embarrassed. Like, it, it's just very, yes, he's very
Mhm.
solipsistic. He doesn't, I think he really struggles to empathize with people. Um, you know?
Yeah, I think there was. I mean, watching any of debates, I can kind of see that where he'll say, "Well, with your worldview, this must be true," and like somebody will explain, "Hey, actually, that's not. In my worldview, that's fine." But the insult itself doesn't do any explanatory work with showing that
Mm.
that is like a bad thing. Like just saying like, "Oh yeah, we'll do this." It's almost the same to, I'm sure, to you and to me as pointing out someone's hair color and being like, "Oh yeah,
Hmm.
I get this insult a lot, which I think is hilarious. Like, oh, you're a blonde." Like, uh,
Yes.
yeah, and the sky is blue, and this is a
Yep.
mic, and like, it's to
Hmm.
me, it's very similar to something like that. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you're just pointing out a matter of fact that I've literally just told you 5 seconds
Right.
ago. Like, yes, you heard me. I mean, that's great. Um, as far as the rest of the debate, like how did that go? Because I can't imagine how tense it was like after the initial freak out, and then I'm assuming I think the debate was about 2 hours long.
It was 4 hours, and then afterwards it was 2 hours, and then so it was 6 hours total, which was like just
Hell.
exhausting. I was exhausted. Basically, I feel like after that, it was just damage control. I feel like they were trying to get me to say something shitty to make up for it, you know? Like they were trying to be like, you defamed Steven Crowder. Because they were like, Andrew Wilson was like, what Christian nationalist do you know that is against divorce when a woman is being abused? And I was like, what about that guy who yelled at his pregnant wife? I didn't even remember who Steven Crowder was. I didn't remember. I don't care about that man. I did not remember. And then they freaked out and they were like, "You think he abused his wife? You're defaming him." And I was like, "Okay, well, my bad. I thought he did for realsies. Sorry, it's fine." And then, like, they tried to get me to say that, I don't know, they keep telling people now that I told Rachel that she should have killed her kids when
I've
all
seen
I
this.
said, they called me up and they were like, would I have been, Andrew was like, would it have been less promiscuous if she had aborted her kids? And I was like, well, yeah. And they didn't really give me a chance to explain that I meant optically. I was able to explain it later, but I was like, optically, yes, if you have, you know, abortions rather than children with three different men, no one can see that you've had an abortion, but people can see that you have had, you're living children, which are evidence that you have had, multiple baby daddies. Um, and so, and especially after they told me that story about Rachel's ex-husband, which is apparently, I don't like to, question victim stories, but I've heard from some people that those might be questionable stories, the validity of them. Uh, they were like, well, should I have aborted them? And I was like, well, God, maybe. It's what I would have done. Like, geez. But in my head, I was thinking, yeah, probably better to not tie yourself to horrible, horrible men through childbirth. I mean, that's what I would have done. Or rather, not done. I would not have tied myself to them through having kids with them. Um,
Yeah, I think there's this weird, and by the way, let me know if my mic changed. I noticed something different or off. I don't know what's going on there. But
it sounds okay to me.
okay, cool, cool. Um yeah, it does seem like there's something there going on where there's kind of like an implicit second question baked into the first question of like,
Hmm.
is this more promiscuous? And if by what you mean promiscuous, it seems like maybe there was a gap there in the communication. Like he meant is, you know, it may be morally permissible, and what you seems like what you were interpreting was like, how does that look optically?
Hmm.
Like, does it look less promiscuous to abort the child? And
Yeah.
to you, the answer is yes, because that's what it appears to be. But it seems like
Hmm.
maybe, and I normally don't like to attribute like bad faith to questions or like
Hmm.
comments like that, but it's Sandra Wilson and Rachel Wilson, and I have no faith.
Yeah, they're always bad faith. And they were trying to, I could
Yeah.
tell they were trying to get me um, to slip up and say, make myself look bad. And so, yes, very much bad faith, I believe.
Yeah, it seems like there's oftentimes a lot of with those discussions that there's always something kind of hidden or implicit in what's being talked about, and I think it's definitely the show as a whole. As I've come to realize, I mean, I definitely wanted to go back at one point because I felt like, okay, you know, the first discussion wasn't terrible. Obviously, very heavily dislike Andrew Wilson. But, you know, I was like, if it was cordial, then, you know, it's fine for the most part. I'll go back and do a second one because, shit, exposure. Um, but after that, after like reflecting and watching the next few episodes that they had with him, with, I don't know if you know of Naima, but with her
Oh,
and
yes.
you and a few other people that I had seen, I was like, this is a complete trap. Like, that is all that this is. And
Hmm.
I've noticed it's interesting that the dynamic of their one on one debates
Hmm.
is quite different from the kind of roundtable discussions that they have, where they have a few different women, typically Instagram models or OnlyFans girls or things like
Hmm.
that, where they kind of just chat loosely about dating and body count and beauty standards and things like that. They've kind of shifted a lot of the content, especially the stuff that goes viral, towards here's a female, and that female is kind of in the debate. And I don't mean to insult you by calling you a debate bro, but
No,
it's
that's
kind
fine. I am a little bit of a debate bro. It is okay. I accept this.
It's a badge of honor, but they've kind of shifted towards that like format of
Mm.
okay, Andrew Wilson, super intellectual dude who has a debate course. I don't know if you know about that. He has an official debate coaching thing.
Yeah.
To okay, here's a female who claims to have some maybe academic accolades, seems a little
Hmm.
bit smarter than the dumb OF girls we have on typically.
Hmm.
And they typically post about politics, things like this. And it seems like a lot of the content has shifted towards that. And I think the
Hmm.
goal of that is, oh, yeah, well, people said we weren't shit for shitting on OnlyFans models who have never attended college and don't really have a need for academia because they're making money doing what they do and they're living perfectly
Hmm.
fine, comfortable lives. People shout on us because those are easy targets. And that's just honesty. And I think that that's obviously terrible.
Hmm.
And I think now it's kind of shifted in that direction to kind of put this as like, oh, yeah, well, Andrew Wilson can not only just take on these dumb bimbos over here, he can also take on these like super academic, elitist, like piece of shit females who have a little bit of education under their belt. Do you feel like
Yeah.
that was kind of like the intention here with that debate?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And they absolutely pick like women in their 20s who are educated. And it serves the same purpose as what they do with the Instagram models and the OnlyFans models is to, essentially demonstrate to it's to go, look at this dumb bitch that thinks she's hot shit. Well, she's a dumb bimbo, just like all the other hoes we interview. And that's the point. And it's also like I noticed I like Andrew Wilson's his debate with gosh, I don't know her name, but she's a blonde woman. Like it felt like the point was to make her rage quit and to make her cry, and they were like delighted by her crying. Like it was gross, it was bad. And so I think that that's what they want to do is they are turning their sights on more educated women to satisfy their audience, because I do think that their audience is tuning out a little bit. To be honest, I think like they seem to be a little bit tired of the OF models and Instagram models that they ambush.
Yeah, and I think it's a special type of, at least what they've shifted to now, is a special type of like anti intellectualism, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
what it does is it changes the face of academia to be a smart young woman in her 20s who is slightly well versed on XYZ topic and just enjoys talking about it as well. And in a lot
Mm-hmm.
of cases is far more well read than Andrew Wilson on any of the topics that are chosen.
Yes.
And I think I was particularly impressed because well, one, not to say like, oh, the other women who are into academia are just super stupid and they just actually don't know what they're talking about and they are these, what Andrew Wilson is making them out to be. Um, but I noticed that a lot of the times they don't seem to have an interest in the debate culture as much as you do. At least it seemed on the surface level. In fact, I was
Mm-hmm.
messaging someone today and talking them about the stream, and I was like, in the first few minutes of the stream, I think when you guys are getting to the point of like defining feminism and defining
Mm-hmm.
what makes feminism good and or bad or whatever, and you specifically said, I don't want to make this a meta ethics debate, and that set off an alarm in my, not an alarm like bad, but set off like a trigger in my head, and I was like, she knows what meta ethics is. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a second. I was totally
um
blown out of the water. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be a good debate. And I just was actually curious because it seemed like you're into philosophy a little bit. Is that true?
yeah, a little bit. It was more meta ethics ended up being what my other debate with Andrew Wilson turned into, which was really irritating because I'd never encountered having to like debate with someone who believed that their morality derived from a specific Christian doctrine, like a very highly specific Christian doctrine, and seemed incapable of comprehending morality outside of that, or at least playing dumb enough. So it was, it was really, it was really, really frustrating. But I am not, I don't have any formal debate experience. I do have, some familiarity with philosophy, but that's primarily just through I'm more familiar, I suppose, with critical theory, I guess, because of my master's, and literary theory. So certainly not a great philosopher nor a great debater, but I am at least aware, yes. But it still seems that he thought I was too stupid to keep up anyway, but I don't.
I've noticed I think the tactic going forward with like women or females or anyone who's like femme presenting and into academia is like, oh, look at, you know, look at this female and they don't know shit and they sound like they can talk a bunch of shit, but when you pick apart their worldview, uh, at the end of it, as long as I say I'm right, then I'm right and I
Mhm.
won, and my audience will believe I'm won, and I have no idea how you convince such a large amount of people, which by the way, is not a few million people like they indicated that it was. It was a few 100,000. Uh,
That was crazy to me because I was like, there was like what, a couple, I don't know how many were watching on YouTube and Twitch, but yeah, it was not millions and millions. And I was like, this is, you guys are, and that's what I think is something that I've noticed about Wilson is that he does care a lot about numbers and knowing people. I think that seeming more famous than he is very important to him and his wife. Um, anyway, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
no, you're perfectly fine. But yeah, it's a very interesting, like, as long as I'm confident enough, it's quite literally like the Dunning Kruger effect, like in real
Mhm.
time. Like you could literally plot the chart. Like someone needs to make a meme of that, of like you just being a Giga Chad at the end of the at the end of the chart. Like feminism's good for society, and just Andrew Wilson there at the end.
Mhm. Thank
But yeah,
you.
it's quite in real time. Like I said, like you can see the confidence, and you can tell it's superficial. And I think to anyone who's not like a perpetual watcher of Andrew Wilson, like a fan of Andrew Wilson,
Mhm.
you can immediately see right through it. And I think during one of the debates that I had with him in the studio, during a portion of that, I had said something. We did get into meta ethics, that
Mhm.
and he had said something like, "Well, I'm giving you the argument. I don't know why you're not accepting it." And in my head, I was like, what the hell? I was like, did you just tell me like the solution to this conversation is for me to just accept what you're saying as correct? And I think I noticed a few moments there with you like that, where it was kind of like you saw that fake confidence just kind of start to dwindle
Mhm.
down with like the little crash out thing. And I do commend you for staying so calm, because you're probably much better than I would have done in person. I probably would have said much worse. And I did have a lot of people, and I thought this to myself during like the comment that he made about the, oh well, you lick sneeze. Like, in my head I was like, yeah, I would have been like, and you don't like. I was very very surprised that you didn't react that way, because that's, I mean, anyone that I've talked to has been like, that's what I would have said.
I just didn't know what to say. Like I was, well, because I was so taken aback by his reaction. Like I really didn't expect him to flip out. So it shook me. And I kind of froze up and was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. What? So any like coherent thoughts that I had kind of went out the window and I kind of went on autopilot. Um, but I mean, yeah, I probably should have pressed him on that. I should have pressed him on a lot of things even during my debate. I really let him get away with a lot without pushing him on things, but that's because I was genuinely trying to be polite, I guess. But God, yeah,
Yeah.
exhausting.
I tend to fall into the same trap where like I
Hmm.
if I have time to think out a response, I can come up with something witty, but if it's on the spot, I try to walk cuz I think, and this is true of most people, and people will say like this is just you being hypocritical, like you're not the same way in real life, like blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And it's like there is a specific cadence that you have to have when you're in a situation where you don't know what's going to happen. So
Yes.
I think you handled that amazingly. It's totally understandable. It's a studio with very bright lights, and I'm sure you shot very early in the morning. I'm assuming, as well.
I- It was mostly, no, it started at like 2 and I didn't get home till 11 at night.
Oh
Um,
my god.
so was it was fucking brutal. Um, I was so hungry
Oh my
and I was
god.
so tired. I was just like, what am I doing here? Um,
Was it initially planned out for that long? And did they offer, like, at any point, like, hey, do you want a break to go eat or to order food or something?
no, Andrew got plenty of breaks, but I didn't, and I kept being like, I need to go to the bathroom, and so eventually I just had to get up and go to the bathroom. Um,
Oh my god.
because but Andrew could get up like whenever he wanted, kind of to go, take smoke breaks. But I mean, that's probably better because otherwise, I think he would have been in real danger of like hitting me. Um,
Oh my
because I
god.
mean, the dude's an addict, he's an addict. Like he smokes and drinks
Yeah.
every time he streams. He cannot like function um without substances. So I was definitely worried about that.
Yeah, I do wonder if that also falls within the traditional lifestyle. Like, if that's kosher per his rules, or if that's also something he would, kind of condemn as, like,
That's what I did. I think I don't remember what he said when I brought that up, but I was like, dude, all you do is smoke and drink. Like, what is going, like, you can't, that's not Christ-like. And he was like, it's Protestants that don't like the substances, blah 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 blah. I'm fucking, what is it? Uh, oh God, my brain is blinking.
I believe he's
Um,
Catholic, right?
no, he's Orthodox. He converted. He was raised Protestant and then he converted to Orthodox. So he's very pro Russia. Uh, and he uh, just didn't seem to have any thoughts about it, I guess. Like, nothing. He didn't care. But that's because I don't think he's really a religious man. And that's also kind of why, like, what I feel was fake outrage about abortion was kind of annoying because, I mean, if you hear him talk about, like, people in Ukraine, if you hear him talk about people in Gaza, like he'll literally go, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care if people die. Like, I don't care if these people are dying. Like, he doesn't care about bad things happening to his ideological enemies. Or even if they're, Christians, but I guess not the right kind of Christians. So, like, I just don't buy that he has empathy. I don't think he has basic empathy. I don't think his religious beliefs are genuine. I think he's full of shit. Um, like a lot of converts. No offense to people who might be converts, but it just rings hollow, I think, when they convert and then immediately, try to make a lot of money off their conversion.
Yeah, I think the conservative grift, especially the, like, and I know you said he specifically isn't Catholic, but I think the Catholic conservative and probably a lot of Protestants too within the last maybe 10 years
Hmm.
has been insane. I mean, I've seen
Hmm.
people just immediately overnight change all of their views ever to whatever fits whatever the popular conservative agenda is at the time. So yeah, I have my doubts and my suspicions as well, because you don't actually also see, like, if there were any, I mean, if I had to consider what type of, like, Christian virtues or values that Andrew Wilson upholds, I actually don't think I can name you many, if any at all.
I could not name any either, to be honest. I've None, actually. I don't think he doesn't seem even a little bit Christ-like at all. I think that making your money, like, by literally just, and he can say, I do serious debates all the time. No one watches him for those. That's not how he gets, like, the bulk of his audience. It's just him berating women,
Yeah.
which, I mean, I don't know if Jesus would approve of bringing misery and suffering into the world to make money.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I still, at the end of the day, I think you did amazing. I know they've invited you back. I'm kudos to you for turning them down to come back. Rachel has also refused to debate me because her husband was so offended, which was weird. I thought she was her
Weird.
own woman who could speak for herself,
Yeah, I thought
but
she was, yeah, I know. She says I'm the secretary of the patriarchy, but she's very she certainly takes advantage of feminist wins to be loud and annoying at all times. Um that's kind of the issue with a lot of these like trad female influencers. It's like, okay, if you're really trad, go to the kitchen. Like, why are you on the internet? What are you doing? Like, it's just such an obvious stupid grift that it's frustrating. It's
yeah,
frustrating.
I think the future of like conservative streaming has become concerning because I think a lot of young men are falling for it. I think
Mm.
maybe less so young women, but I still think that we are seeing a lot of that still.
Hmm.
So I think that's a little bit disheartening, but it is nice to see every once in a while someone who is well educated like you are, who actually does know what they're talking about, to come onto those shows. Because even if his audience isn't going to take that and go, ah, yes, I believe women are intelligent now, and I actually believe
Hmm.
feminism good, it's still, I think, gives people a glimmer of hope. So, you know, of course, I appreciate it. I appreciated just seeing the debate.
Thank
I
you.
think you did well. And what do you plan to do going far, from here? Or, sorry, what do you plan to do going forward from here? Like, as far as streaming, I know you obviously are going to continue streaming. Do you
Mhm.
plan on doing future political debates like that on bigger platforms or anything like that?
Um, I mean, it would depend. I'm not pursuing any of it right now because, to be honest, it was a little bit hard on me mentally afterwards. But I think depending on the platform I was offered, I would consider it. Definitely not the Wilsons again. But maybe. I don't know. I think I'm probably just gonna keep chugging along and doing what I'm doing. Mostly I want to make YouTube video essays, but I'm really lazy, so I haven't started that yet. Um so yeah, I'll have to see. I'll have to see what comes up.
Every I feel like that's every political streamer, like content creator stream is like, ah, yes, I
Hmm.
would like to put out longer form content of things that I love talking about for an hour and a half, and
Hmm.
I'm on the same page. I have just failed to get to it, and it's fine. Well, one day it's on the list.
We got it. We got it. One day
All
we'll
right.
get there.
Well, cool. I appreciated talking to you. If you have anything else that you want to add here at the end, we'll wrap up.
Hmm. I think I'm good. I'm so hungry. But thank you.
Oh my god, go eat dinner.
No, it's okay. I was like, I just felt it when we were wrapping up, and I was like, oh wow. Um, but thank you for talking to me. This was fun.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome back, of course, anytime if you have any other crazy red pill debates that you want to chat about. I appreciated you coming on. But yeah, I will link your stuff in the description, and I hope you have a great
Mhm.
night and enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
got your stuff on my Twitch chat, but thank you.
Okay,
Good
cool.
night.
See ya.
Bye.